do thank that is based in Bangalore. I have great pleasure in inviting all of you who have taken the time to come and attend this meeting. Sometimes when I travel, I feel a little sad when you call people and they have to travel, an hour, 45 minutes. And so the only thing I can assure is we won't call you too many times. Now, a brief note on the foundation. We are a do thank that works with on issues that primarily affect human security. So that's our domain of work. The foundation was set up about 20 years ago. We spent most of the time in the field, in Africa, in Chechnya, in Mongolia, doing mostly humanitarian work. And that gave us a sense of what happens on the ground. The foundation is self-funded over the last 25 years. We are non-partisan and always try to stay at the center of any discourse, so we don't take any sides. We try to bring new insights, interdisciplinary knowledge, new methodologies, and tools to remediate sometimes extremely complex problems. The purpose of organizing this strategic dialogue on Indo-US relationship is primarily to have a better understanding on the past, the present, and the future, which is quintessentially what is required to develop any strategic thinking. And hence we have sort of put the subtitle, Estranged, Flatlined, Natural Allies, and now I'll add one more with a question mark. Okay? So we are sort of questioning this whole thing. We are not saying, we are not concluding anything, we're just wanting this whole thing to be debated. Estrangement was what defined our relationship until the end of the Cold War, and then it was flat for some time, and then since 2000, it has sort of taken off with some amount of thrust. Being Bangalore-based, we felt that it was more important to focus on issues that affect companies, governments, civil society, academia in Bangalore. We are not trying to look at it from a 50,000 degree perspective, but from what actually happens on the ground, and that's more relevant for us. And also to understand deeper, okay, and in a very realistic manner, what are the key challenges of building a relationship between two of the world's largest democracies? I mean, it's like a cliche, we keep saying we're the largest democracy, but there are so many challenges, like wheels within wheels, and too complex. The narrative was simple. Bangalore is home to some of the largest companies, both US and Indian, that are based here. So anything that affects either Bangalore or the US would affect companies, organizations, institutions here. We have two very distinguished speakers today. I'm humbled and honored to have both of them. And I really want to thank them both for making time. Thank you, Ambassador Sen, Ambassador Lata Reddy. I still call them ambassador because for me, I just am a student. Okay. Let me introduce briefly Ambassador Ronen Sen. Most of you know him. He was the ambassador to the US during 2004 and 9, the period where India had a fairly, let's say, good relationship with the US. He had the distinction to be the only ambassador to serve 4 former G8 countries. He was one of the key architects of the Indo-US deal. Why we thought he was more appropriate here, because we wanted to bring a larger spin, larger than Indo-US. We wanted to bring in the Russian element, because whatever happens in between US and Russia would affect us. So, and he was India's first ambassador to Russia when Russia was formed, from between 1992 and 1998. And he has several other, which I think, for a man of his profile, I shouldn't be, keeping on saying, but it's a great honor to have you here, sir. Thank you very much. Ambassador Lata Reddy, most of you know, is from Bangalore. She's probably one of the tallest, personalities here. A great speaker. She was the former Deputy National Security Advisor of India, ambassador to Portugal. She served in many capacities in the government, and being especially from Bangalore, I thought, who else could better fit. Thank you so much, Ambassador Lata Reddy. I had the opportunity to discuss briefly with Ambassador Sen about the topics that would be relevant, and among other things which we would encourage you to ask more questions. There were three or four topics. One is principally the economic issue. I'm just sort of flagging it. The Immigration Bill and the Homeland Act, both very important for most ICT companies here. Second, the US rebalancing and the pivot. Okay? So we're sort of challenging the premise is, do we really need to depend on the US for any strategic position? In the past, we did so with Russia. And then in the previous years, we were non-aligned. So what would be in India's best interest? To be nuanced, or do you really need to have a strategic partnership? Third, to clearly articulate the expectations of both the countries. What does the US want in this? And what does India want? This is basically getting down to basics. I'm sure there will be many other questions, and the whole purpose of this dialogue is more conversation-based. It's not about a monologue. We want people to ask questions that are topical to their area of work, and that would make this whole debate more richer, and this is why we thought we wanted to have this sort of a format. May I now invite both Ambassador Ronen Sen and Ambassador Lata Reddy to come onto the dais. Thank you very much. Let us give them a hand.
Robbie, for your very kind words. And may I say that it's a great honor for me to be on the same platform with one of my senior colleagues, Ambassador Ronen Sen. And in fact, I was somewhat struck by the title of the subject today, Indo-US Strategic Dialogue. That would normally mean that one of us speaks for the Indians and one of us speaks for the Americans. That I assure you is not the case. We both speak for India. We have both represented India, and Ambassador Sen has represented India in the US. My initial task was to be a moderator today, as you see from the program. But Ambassador Sen says he doesn't want to be the sole speaker, so he would prefer this to be a conversation. But if I may set the ball rolling, sir, I want to ask you, we've been talking about this all day today. Firstly, obviously the question in everyone's mind is that President Obama is on his second visit to India. He is the chief guest, or going to be the chief guest at Republic Day. Is this merely symbolic, or is it got a meaning beyond that? I understand there's been some negative fallout in the US press about this, and they're questioning why he needs to go to attend a parade. So the question is being the chief guest at Republic Day simply attending a parade, or does it go way beyond that? So I'd like your views on that, sir.
Well, not only to attend a parade, but they said that he's going to inhale 4 hours of the Delhi smog, and he's going all the way there and spending 3 days for that. But I think there is this, what you said, Lata, is about this symbolism is important. We tend to dismiss it. It is important because the United States and India, there's a cliche, as Toby was pointing out, to say, talk about two democracies and so on. But some things do matter, and there's a lot of history there, because after all, 26 January is the day when we adopted our constitution. In some countries, it's called the Constitution Day. We call it the main day. And there were a lot of consultations, even before our independence, between India and US on constitution, confidential consultations, and Sir Benegal Rao is very eminent jurist. There are many lawyers, but very few jurists, but he's a very eminent jurist. He had very detailed discussions with Justice Frankfurter, who again, a very eminent person, in inputs into the drafting of our constitution, and and also they had consulted President Truman, and this was much before independence. And virtually, if it's not just as Secretary Kerry pointed out, that the only two constitutions in the world which begins with the words "we the people," it is important because this relationship is not just about the two governments, between two peoples, and that is becoming more and more evident. But it is also about, for instance, one of the few constitutions where you have, when you talk about fundamental rights and the Bill of Rights, it's the individual which is the center. Individual rights, human rights, those are the center of the constitutions of both our countries. But apart from all those, India, and it has contemporary significance because both our societies, they are not just democracies. Japan is democracy. You have France, which is democracy. But we are federal polities also, and we are pluralist policies in terms of most diverse societies in the world, both India and the United States. And there's a contemporary significance because right from that time, you go fast forward, you had, again, 2005, you had the UN Democracy Fund being launched. It was done by the Prime Minister of India and the President of the United States in the presence of world leaders. So, it is of a contemporary significance also. And what we are seeing today, all this madness all around us, something about reiteration of values are important. Is it enough? Certainly not. We have to build on that.
What I wanted to say is getting back to this question of values, in spite of the shared democratic values, in spite of the history which you've outlined, is it possible to have a true defining partnership with the US? Is it possible for India to have if, as you know, we've progressed from talking about being, I think first was natural allies to a strategic partnership. And now we're talking about a defining partnership, and even about being natural global partners.
Yeah.
Now the question is, what does it actually mean? This term strategic partnership has been criticized for having been used too often with too many people. And you've referred to Toby rather referred to the past history. But I think we're certainly clear that we're neither estranged nor flatlined. The question is, to what extent are we natural allies?
Yeah.
And I think that, just a brief comment on the natural global partnership question. Given that we think and act and feel very differently on certain very critical issues, let's take our reactions to the Arab Spring. Let's take our reactions to the right to protect. Let's take our reactions to regime change through armed intervention on many political issues around the globe, whether it's with Iran,